So Rudy Gobert picked up a pretty impressive extension today, and to be honest, I couldn't be more sorry for Jazz fans. So before I go into this spicy topic, I want to ask you guys to subscribe, the support means a lot, and also watch out for a video on Amani Bates coming out very soon, you won't want to miss it. Listen, Rudy is a great player, don't get me wrong, but the title of this video is not clickbait. I actually think this is the worst move of the offseason, and yes, worse than Gordon Hayward, and let me explain why. Rudy, as of right now, is a pretty one-dimensional player, but nobody's denying his defensive ability. He's the stifle Eiffel for a reason. Also, the guy's huge, so he's great for lobs and rebounding. But honestly, he's not great outside of these strengths. He hasn't evolved his game like Jokic, he isn't an outside threat like Kristaps. He's pretty much a guy who lives in the paint. Because of this, pick and roll action with Gobert isn't what it could be, because defenders never have to worry about the pick and pop. And it's not so much who he is as a player that makes the contract bad, it's how much they gave him relative to his skill. The Jazz are apparently comfortable paying him more than guys like Anthony Davis and Joel Embiid. This deal is only a few million less a year than Giannis's. Like MVP Giannis, like generational talent Giannis. Listen, you can't even compare the two players because Gobert just isn't close to Antetokounmpo in value. And when you peel back more layers of context, the amount of money they gave Rudy looks even more ridiculous. By the time 2026 rolls around, they'll be paying Gobert $46 million. That's on par with Steph and Dame. Also, the uncertainty of the cap going forward due to the pandemic will have teams in an unprecedented salary crunch going forward. By the way, I've only covered the on-court issues with Rudy. On top of him not being able to score outside of 10 feet, he has had problems getting along with his fellow All-Star in Donovan Mitchell. Top that off with a display of complete idiocy before the pandemic hit the NBA, and he doesn't really seem like the kind of guy you want to shell out $200 million to. This flows into why I think this deal is worse than Gordon's. Listen, I know Hayward is built like glass, but everything was trending toward him being a 22 points a game kind of guy for Charlotte. He moves the ball well, and everyone he plays with loves him. I know the Jazz aren't much of a bigger market, but I understand the Hornets thinking an overpay was the only way to get an all-star. The Jazz already had that player in Rudy on roster, and could have waited this season to extend him or deal him away based on his performance. I want to reiterate that Rudy is a high-caliber player whose effect on the game isn't seen on the box score. I understand that. But the Jazz are going to regret this deal for a half-decade, as it pretty much eliminates any possibility of pairing Mitchell with any other all-star of his liking. Hopefully, Rudy makes me eat my words and comes in this season shooting threes and getting along with everybody. But to be honest, I'd be surprised. Even more surprised than I was when I saw this extension.